Hello, my name is Jason Johnson, amateur radio operator, Kilo 3, Juliet, Sierra Juliet, also your ham radio signal engineer. And today I want to talk about how you can get up and running very quickly on the CS7000 dual M17 DMR radio by converting your Anytone code plug to the version that's needed for this radio. Let's check it out. Connect Systems recently released the CS7000 radio, which is a dual mode radio that supports DMR, analog, and the M17 digital mode on the UHF frequency band. So this particular radio is highlighted there on the website. You can go there to learn more about it. And a friend of mine, Rob, Kilo Charlie 3 Whiskey Uniform Tango, bought the Connect Systems radio, and he asked me to take a look at it to help him get up and running with channels that he's already programmed on his Anytone. So the CPS software for Connect Systems currently does not support importing the code plug for the Anytone radio. However, I was able to write a program for him to go ahead and convert the Anytone code plug to the format needed by the CS7000. And today I'm going to walk through the process of how you can use this program to do the same. All right, so I'm assuming at this point you already have the code plug software for the Anytone radio installed. You have an Anytone code plug. You've installed the code plug software for the CS7000, and you've also obtained the conversion program from the link in the description of this video. So the first step to go ahead and get started will be to export the Anytone code plug into the format needed by the software. So go ahead and open the code plug, and I've already preloaded this with the location of where Rob's code plug is at. And I'm going to go ahead and pick the Tools menu, Export. Now I want to click the button for Export All to export all the information. And the folder I'm going to export it into is this input anytone.kc3wt folder. And I'll give a name of this. I'll give his operator name. And click Save. Export complete. So let's go ahead and pull up the folder and see what happened. You notice in the folder now, there's a whole list of these CSV files, which are the code plug settings for the Anytone radio. So we have everything exported. Let's go ahead and move to the next step, which will be to create a blank code plug for the CS7000. Launch the CS7000 code plug software and click New to create a new code plug. We're going to pick the CS7000 M17 Plus because that's the radio that Rob has. In the general settings, we'll go under settings, and I'm going to call the radio alias his call sign. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and for the power and message line 2, I'm going to put his name. Click Close. Now we need to go ahead and fill out the radio ID for the DMR handset. And you can find that by going under the conventional section, DMR service, digital common, basic. Now I'm not going to put his radio ID in here because I don't want somebody to kind of make a mistake and duplicate that in your code plug. So I'm going to just put a boilerplate number in for now. Created the base code plug, so we're going to minimize that, and we're going to launch the software to do the conversion. I display a standard disclaimer in terms of use statement. I have developed this software and done my best to provide just making sure that everything is correct, but I will say I do not assume any kind of responsibility. It's on the operator to verify the input that you put into your radio is correct, and you're operating according to what your license grant is from the FCC. So if you do accept those terms and conditions after reading, you can go ahead and click the Accept button. If you don't accept those terms, click the Reject, and it will drop you out of the program. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and accept those terms. And I'm presented with a couple options. It's a very simple program. For starters, we have to select what we want to import from the Anytone radio. So I have a filter here that lets you only import digital contacts from the code plug, or you can import digital and analog. So I'm going to pick the location of the input file. Now this is the file where all the Anytone CSVs are located. And remember, that was the anytone.kc3wt folder. Next, I'm going to select the output folder. This is where the codeplug spreadsheet file, where the spreadsheet files are going to be put that you would need to import into the CS7000 software. So since there are a lot of files in the anytone.kc3wt root folder, I went ahead and created a separate subdirectory called CS7000 codeplug, and that's where I'm going to write the results. I have a configuration file for this program that will save your settings under your home folder on your profile, and the nice thing about that is these settings will persist across loads of the program. Once we have these things set, we just have to click the Convert Code Plug button, and a couple things happen. The first is a window will open that will show you the spreadsheets of what's been created. And the last thing I'll highlight before we exit the program is this output screen. There is a filter in the program that will filter out any UHF channels, and this is the channel list of things that are not included in the code plug because they're in the VHF range. So the VHF channels are not imported. And if I were to select digital only in terms of the import channels, this list would be longer because it would exclude any analog channels. One note about the analog channels is by default the CPS software will only support 12.5 kilohertz analog channels. There is a process that you can use to allow you to support those, and I'll just briefly show you that. You can find more out on the on the Connect Systems webpage. But essentially, when you go into the properties for the codeplug software, go into the target, and there's an additional parameter called -K. So before you launch the CS7000 codeplug software, if you want to support 25 kilohertz channels, do -K. And I would defer to the operators on whether or not you want to use this feature, and it's at your discretion. So now we have we've output everything into this spreadsheets that we can now import into the CS7000 codeplug. So go to the Tools channel, and we're going to have to do this in a particular order. You have to first start with the digital contacts. So click Import Digital Contacts, select the contacts spreadsheet, and click Open. Now you get a message, Import Contact Success. And if you go under the DMAR Services contacts, you now see the list has been populated with all the talk groups from our Anytone codeplug. Next, go under Tools, Import Channels, and you want to pick the channel spreadsheet. Now you've successfully imported the channels. Go back under Conventional, Channel, Digital Channels, and you'll see the list of all of those. And likewise, you can look at the analog channels and look at all of these analog channels. The software currently will port over the receive and transmit frequency, any CT, CSS tones. If the channel should only be receive only, also the channel grant for DMR channels in terms of waiting for an idle channel. If that's a setting you have on your individual channel, that is imported. And then the power levels of this particular radio, I think, are high and low. The Anytone has low, medium, high, and turbo. So there is a conversion that happens with that because turbo is not supported. Turbo gets mapped to high, and then essentially the others get mapped to, I think it's low is how it's currently set. And then the final step, which we have to do, is import the zones. We've not done that mapping yet, so go ahead and do import zone list, pick the zones file, and then import success. And if once you look at this under the conventional zones, it will list the individual channels in the name of those zones. All right, we're ready now. Before we program, we want to go ahead and save the code plug, and I'm going to output it into this folder, the Anytone KC Kilo Charlie 3 Whiskey Uniform Tango, and I'm going to call it the CS7000 KC3WT. And I'll put the date for good measure. So that way you can tell which particular day this was made. All that's left to do now is to program the radio. I don't have the radio with me at this point because it returned it back to Rob. But to do that, you would pick the comms port, you'd pick USB, you would make sure that the programming cable is connected to the radio. You would need to boot the radio up into the DMR mode, and the radio has to be on in order to initiate the programming. And you click the button, the right button, to output that to your radio. And that's how we completed the process of getting your Anytone radio code plug converted to the CS7000. I trust that this video was helpful for you to get up and running quickly on the CS7000 M17 radio. If you'd like to reach out and let me know how it went, that would be great. You can do that through a channel comment, or you can also reach me on my email address, k3jsj@arrl.net. Please check the description of the video to where to go to get the program. And as we've entered 2025, I just hope that you have a great new year ahead. And this has been K3JSJ Jason, also the ham radio signal engineer, saying 73.